Good afternoon, everyone. We'll just probably give a couple more minutes for others to join in, and then we can do, we can introduce ourselves. My name is Dipyaman Sanyal, and I'll be talking about the program that we are running at Hero Wired with INSEAD. And along with me, we have Shiva, who's a faculty member in that program and spearheading it from our side at Wired. So Shiva will be talking about the program itself in great detail. Welcome to the webinar on our certificate program in Strategic Management and Business Essentials, which the Hero Wired Group, the Hero Group's online learning venture, Hero Wired, that's who we are. We are running this program in collaboration with INSEAD. I'm sure most of you would have heard about INSEAD, though I will talk about them a little bit more. Based out of France and in Singapore, they have a dual campus model. This is a program that we are running in collaboration with them, where the program is jointly taught by faculty members both at Wired and at INSEAD. So I'll begin by talking a little bit more about Wired. I won't spend a lot of time talking about the Hero Group because I'm sure if you are in India and in many different parts of the world, you would definitely have heard of the Hero Group. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Then we're going to talk about Wired. I'm going to talk a little bit about our pedagogy and the way we teach, and especially for our management programs, and especially about this program. And then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Shiva. Before that, I'm going to do a quick introduction. Hi, my name is Dipyaman Sanyal. Everybody calls me Deep. I head academics and learning at Hero Wired. And over the past couple of decades, I've been working in the industry, in financial markets, in data science and machine learning, and been an entrepreneur myself. Launched a couple of firms successfully and unsuccessfully. And I'll talk about, as I said, the program and so on. But along with me, I have Shiva, who is very closely involved in this program and is our, from Hero Wired side, he's leading the charge, if you will, along with our counterpart, Amitabh, who is in France. So Shiva, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Deep. So I'm Shiva. I head up the finance function in at Hero Wired, meaning that I head the team of faculty that teach finance. We teach, in addition to INSEAD, we teach a bunch of other courses as well. But our relevance to INSEAD, what we do here is we basically teach finance from point of view of more so from point of view of management and strategy. In other words, what is it that a CEO or a CXO needs to understand in finance when it comes to just managing the business. About me, again, a bit like Deep, I have about 20 years of experience in the industry. I spent most of my working career either trading in various different financial markets, most notably a decade spent at Barclays trading credit derivatives, and bits and pieces, other stints in other banks where I was trading interest rates and FX. So I come primarily from a financial markets trading and risk management background. Have done a few other bits and pieces, quite recently turned into an entrepreneur myself. So that's my background, and along with Deep, I'm looking forward to the next 1 hour or so that I'm going to be spending with you. Back to you, Deep.
All right, thanks Shiva, thanks so much. So I'm gonna, as I said, just start off the conversation, and Shiva's gonna dig a little deeper. I think the best thing to do would be that at any point, if you have a question, feel free to ask it. Or if you think that you'd rather wait till the end of the session, that's also fine. Or feel free to type in your questions in the chat box, the Q&A box, right? There's a Q&A box on the top of your screen. At any point, just feel free to type it in. And then every 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to just take a look at the questions and answer them. All right, the Hero Group, as you know, started in 1956, you know, the brand itself, I'm sure most of you or all of you probably would have heard of it or know about it. Our CEO, Akshay, is the grandson of BML Munjal. He started the BML Munjal University about 7 or 8 years back. Last couple of years back, decided that the best way to bring top quality education, right, is probably to even go beyond the confines of a university, right? And which was why the foray into online learning, right? To democratize high quality learning by either launching programs ourselves or where we see global quality expertise, launching programs with our partner INSEAD being one of them. The Hero Group in education, the Hero Group has been in education for a long time, in higher education, and part of the founding group at ISB, where you know there is a Munjal Center within ISB, the BML Munjal University, of course. There are schools, Dynam Medical College and Hospital, and so on. So it's a group which has been a part of the educational system in India for a very long time. It's nothing new to the Hero Group. Wired, again, as I said, and I'll talk a little bit more about the inception of Wired. INSEAD is arguably the best business school in the world, right? They're usually ranked up there, you know, usually the top spot or in the top 3 and so on, along with the traditional favorites like Harvard or Stanford or Booth and things like that, right? So it's one of the best business schools in the world. And the beauty of INSEAD, right, and which is why I think partnering with them worked out really well, was that while they're an European school, they're extremely global, right? They have facilities in Europe, of course, which is the original campus in Fontainebleau, but they're in Singapore, they're in Abu Dhabi, they're in San Francisco. They have collaborators across the world. INSEAD's strength is that they are a global business school, right? Unlike many others. They have degree programs, the flagship MBA, of course, and PhD programs. In addition, each year, over 11,000 professionals enroll in INSEAD's executive education programs, and this is a part of it. And they have been ranked #1, as I mentioned, and the idea behind this program is that many of us, including myself, unlike Shiva, did not get an MBA, right? Shiva went to IIM Bangalore, right? And got an MBA and learned a lot, I'm sure, about management and strategic planning and so on. For me, I don't come from that background, right? I have a couple of master's degrees and all of, and PhD and whatever not, but it was a lot of management was a lot of learning on the job, right? The question that we are trying to answer with this program is that, can we have folks who either went to management school many years back or did not go to management school, but they are leading today, they are managing, right? How can we help them become better managers, right? And that's why I really like this program, because I can connect with it in so many different ways as an individual who manages teams, small teams and large, but who probably does not have that education, right, that's necessary to be a good manager. Management has become somewhat of a science. It is a lot of art as well, but that art and science meet together, and that's why management schools do a fantastic job in making people understand that, hey, you know what, there are certain things that you can do beyond your innate skills, which will allow you to become the leader that you envision yourself to be. So how do we help? The certificate program, it's very hands-on, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to hand it over to Shiva after the next 2 slides. It's an extremely hands-on program, right? 130 hours of total learning. nearly all of it, right? About 70 to 90%. And that's one of the forte for Wired, right? That all our programs are industry led, and all our programs are instructor led. We have folks who are going to walk with you that mile that you need to walk, instead of sharing with you a 20-minute video on it, right? It's a classroom, it's a learning area where you go in there, the faculty members come in, most of them come from an industry background, along with, of course, the fantastic professors at INSEAD who have enormous experience in this area, right? And that instructor-led is under the guidance of a professional mentor. That's the focus that Wired has grown up with, right? We're about a year old, a little over a year old. And the third piece is that we have deep industry connects. As the name suggests, we come from the industry, right? And what we bring to the table in this conversation that we have with INSEAD, right, this collaboration that we have, is the context, the Indian industry context. The INSEAD faculty, again, come with a lot of global best practices which we want to emulate, right? Which we want to learn about. And these best practices are global. It doesn't matter which part of the world you are. These are the management best practices. These are the business best practices. The Hero Wired faculty and our master classes, our visiting faculty members, what they do is provide the Indianized Asian context to this, right? Because if you think of certain areas like people functions, very, very contextual, cultural nuances, extremely contextual, right? Now, who would contextualize it better than industry professionals with a lot of experience in this area in this country, right? So that's what Wired brings into this partnership and what INSEAD brings to this partnership. And together we have created this certificate program. The program was created jointly by us. So even before the curriculum was designed, Shiva here, I was in some of those meetings, my colleague Samiksha, we all sat together with Amitabh from INSEAD and a couple of others, and we had a very, very detailed discussion of what we want in this program and why and who does what, right? So it's been completely jointly developed. This is not just a standalone INSEAD program off the shelf, right? It was developed for India by the two of us together. Along with our online 130 total hours of learning, which is 70 to 90% live instructor-led and so on, there is an optional campus engagement, right? Where our learners in the program are invited to participate in a 5-day in-person workshop in the INSEAD campus. This is located in Fontainebleau in France, a beautiful place. I haven't been there, I've seen photographs. Absolutely beautiful. I've been Paris, but not much far away from there. It'll be an optional add-on. It's optional. You might want to do it, you might not, but it'll give the learners the chance to interact live in person with both INSEAD and Hero Wired faculty in a classroom setting. The focus for this on-campus engagement will be on career preparation, of course, upskilling, industry visits, and also extremely important, personal branding. Part of becoming a manager, leader in any area, it doesn't matter. Part of it just boils down to personal branding to a certain extent, right? The moment you are moving to leadership roles, you're going beyond the confines of only your organization. When we think about Ratan Tata or we think about Mahindra, we don't think only about them as CEOs or chairmen of large corporations. It's their personal brand, right, that attracts us to such figures, right? The Bill Gates or whoever. So personal branding is again going to be a part of this. It's a 5-day in-person visit in the INSEAD campus in Fontainebleau, France, and we'll have faculty both from INSEAD and Hero Wired. At this point, I'm going to hand this over who will talk to you in more detail about the way this program is constructed. So Shiva, over to you, and I'll also be looking at any questions that come up. But please, over to you.
Thanks, Deep. Thank you. So the question of why, I think the question of why you should choose INSEAD is, the answer screams in your face. They are probably one of the best, arguably the best B school in the world. The answer to why you should choose HeroWired is also a reasonably obvious one to those that are in India and are familiar with the work that we have done as a group in the field of education. But just to help summarize those thoughts, we'll just quickly go over some of the points that draw a lot of our learners to HeroWired, as well as the other educational initiatives of the Hero Group. So firstly, when we say integrated learning, the way the various different pieces that need to go into professional upskilling and taking that to not just hire as a professional, everything that needs to go in is actually done by for and probably the examples that are there in some of the other areas illustrate this better than even SMBE, because if you take finance or data science or any of those streams, for example, the way we think of it is you're not just teaching data science or finance, you're trying to create a finance professional. What all goes into it? Soft skills, presentation skills, interview skills, written presentation skills, and so on. Not too different here with SMBE as well. Personal branding, for example, was a thing that was a module that we included within the program, keeping this in mind. There is also content that we cover on the cultural sensitivities that we as Indian managers need to learn. Why do we do that? Because as the world gets more globalized, I mean, I don't know if the world is getting more globalized or less, but that question aside, as Indian managers, clearly the interaction with the outside world is more so sensitive. Being able to be sensitive to the other cultures and the way other people work is essential. So the point I'm making is, when we say integrated learning, with the help of those few illustrations, what I've hopefully managed to convey to you is that it's not just the focus on your finance and marketing and branding. It's not just that. We take a holistic view in terms of what is required to achieve the upskilling that a lot of our learners seek from us. Industry ready, second point, which is actually a closely related point, but this is industry readiness is something that feeds into both how our content is designed. When we designed INSEAD, for example, the beacon, the lighthouse for us when deciding content was, if we teach a learner something on Saturday, can he or she take it to workplace on Monday and actually use it? So industry readiness is something we pay a lot of attention to. Sometimes theory has to be taught to help prepare you for that learning, and that is inevitable. But the wherever possible, the question is, what we teach you on Saturday, can it be used at the workplace on Monday? Personalized training, absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of truth when we say that we pay personalized attention. I've personally had mock interviews very late in the evening to help learners prepare, for example, for an industry interaction or a placement type, a career. It could be an internal interview, it could be a meeting with a manager, any of those. I've all the faculty are committed to, very committed to making sure that there is sufficient level of personalization, so that you as a learner, you have sufficiently been supported and helped to draw as much value as you can out of the program. Wide Connect, premium access to international learning experiences. just a few minutes ago, Deep spoke to you about the immersion experience. So I think that's probably the 2 or 3 bits that are probably most important from point of view of this program, is that you have INSEAD faculty teaching you, and you have the optional immersion experience, and it doesn't get more international than that. The bank of credits that we provide that can be leveraged across for learning in India and across the world. And the last one is global. It's recognized certification from world's premium. I think that's the point that we've talked about how INSEAD needs no introduction and is probably the best business school in the world. Lalit, if you could, sorry, Deep, if you could roll to the next slide, please. So program highlights, I think we've talked about this. You're all probably familiar. It's a 6-month program. There's 130 hours of total content that will be delivered. We are typically looking at 6 to 8 hours of instructor-led plus learning sessions. The time, the ask from you is about 8 hours, but I'll also share with you that learners who sort of tend to manage to push it to about 10 hours or so, they 10 to 12 hours, they are the ones that draw that much more value out of the program. But so 8 hours probably is what we expect of you, and that is a minimum that is expected of you. That 8 hours includes classes as well. In terms of the curriculum, in addition to what we're used to seeing in management programs, there's quite a few pretty exciting line items listed there. The three of them that leap out just from this slide. There's design thinking, blue ocean strategy, and influencing without authority. Design thinking, as our lives get more complex, as we begin to interface with more and more products and services, even in our own personal lives, design thinking has become very critical to making sure that you have a product that where design thinking has gone in. Everything from websites to apps to actual products that we use, real products. Design thinking is an idea. The importance and value of design thinking inputs is an idea that is widely recognized now. So it's fairly recent as an idea, but very quickly people are seeing value in design thinking being an input when building products and services. So this bit is INSEAD is involved in this bit. Blue ocean strategy. Some of you might have heard of blue ocean strategy. What is it? Well, in simple words, it means going into markets where there is little to no competition at all. How would you do that? You would achieve that probably by going into a market to begin with where there's not much competition, or better still, create a product or a service that doesn't exist. And once you find traction, you're probably one of the very few one of the very few players in the market offering that product or service. Again, very exciting. And given the pace at which technology is technology is changing and evolving, we expect that there'll be more and more such blue ocean strategy opportunities. I think there have been numerous of them in the last 2 decades looking back, and there are only going to be more. Influencing without authority, sort of self-explanatory. I don't really need to tell you what we're trying to do there, but it's basically to make you more effective managers and leaders. Also branding and entrepreneurial thinking, again, not much to, they're both self-explanatory. If there are any specific questions on any of these, we will take them. Deep, if you could please take me to the next slide.
I'll just add one quick point here on the branding and the entrepreneurial thinking. Both of these are going to be taught by folks who work in branding, who have built brands nationally and internationally. And same for entrepreneurial thinking. While we will have academics, and what academics can do very well, and that's what I find, that's very interesting for all of us, is that they can tell us very clearly that what are the key things that they've seen on entrepreneurial thinking, not just from one particular entrepreneur. Whenever we get an entrepreneur to talk to you, that will be their point of view. Practicing academics have a much larger cross-sectional view of entrepreneurial thinking. So we are going to do both, right? We're going to get entrepreneurial academics who have talked to multiple entrepreneurs across the world. And we're going to get the entrepreneurs who have actually built companies from scratch to come and talk to you about it as well. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to add those 2 cents, but back to you, Shiva. Here's the next slide.
All right. Thanks. Rest of the stuff, these are probably more familiar topics that this slide is probably a bit more familiar, but I'll still spend some time talking about what we do in a couple of these in a couple of these. Finance, for example, with finance, the one of the other beacons, that one of the other lighthouses that has guided us in putting this program together is the word applied. So when we say finance, there are many ways to teach finance, and I can talk for a long time about what and how can we talk, and what can be taught in finance and how. But the ability to distill and share that critical few skills required for a manager, for a CEO to effectively use financial information to make better decisions has been the focus of what we have put together in that module. How do we do that? The confluence of management of finance and strategy is the focus here. There are analysts who specialize in that. If you look at companies that large MNCs, most of them have a strategy division, and you will find in strategy in management in strategy teams, you will find people who specialize in finance, people who have that finance lens, use the finance lens to look at where the company is going and what it is doing. So teaching this program is the head of strategy from Philips. He's based out of the Netherlands. So, and I'm just using that point to illustrate to you how applied it, when we say applied, how applied it gets. We actually have the head of strategy of Philips who comes and actually teaches this particular module the finance module. Sort of the same theme cutting across all the other topics. The same theme pervades. It's usually an industry practitioner who comes and teaches. And last point before we move to the next slide is that there's a lot of reliance on case studies across a lot of these areas. You know, operations, marketing will be taught both by INSEAD and ourselves. Foundations of strategy, again, case-based approach there as well. Last few things. Personal leadership is something that I briefly mentioned earlier. Leading teams and organizations and pitching and networking. Now, on line items 11 and 12, as I said, thought has gone into how content that's international can be Indianized and delivered to audiences, learners from here, so that we can extract value out of it. It is one thing to go over a case study of, say, leadership case study from, say, Japan or the US. It's another to actually draw lessons from those case studies for our context to become better Indian managers. And I think that's where this model of say an INSEAD and HeroWired coming together to deliver this program actually makes a lot of sense, because what we also help in our sessions is to help Indianize the content and make it more relevant for our managers. Deep, happy to, yeah. So in terms of the key faculty that are going to teach, you will find in the coming few slides, you'll find a number of INSEAD faculty. we will very briefly talk about each one of them. Amitava, who is our anchor from INSEAD, he incidentally teaches. He's also one of the faculty that teaches this program. He runs a case study on brand building. So as you can see, he is a very senior professor in marketing in INSEAD. He teaches both at INSEAD Singapore and France. Next we have Rose Lu, who teaches entrepreneurial strategies, focuses on emerging markets, and she is again a tenured senior faculty in entrepreneurship and family business at INSEAD. Andrew, again, he is a very senior professor of strategy at INSEAD. He's the one that will be involved in the Blue Ocean strategy piece that is part of this program. It's one of the most exciting and looked forward to sessions as part of the program, because Blue Ocean strategy is, as I said, it's a very exciting strategy for anyone that runs a business, or that is an entrepreneur, because the promise of less competition and the space to build your market share and to build your business in a space where there's less competition, it's a very alluring one. Thomas is I mean, as the slide tells you, he is focused on leadership, organizational behavior, groups and teams, general management, etc. So he's one of the teachers as well. And Antoine focuses on entrepreneurship strategy, venture capital, etc. He is an entrepreneur himself and a lecturer at INSEAD. So he's another very senior faculty member that teaches. Samiksha, who is associated with Hero Wired, she's one of the program anchors. As the slide tells you, she has over 30 years of experience as a trainer. She in addition to anchoring the program, in addition to helping us, in addition to anchoring the program, she also will be teaching as part of this program. And last slide here, Manuel. He is again he's from INSEAD. He teaches technology and operations management. He will be handling the operations management module of the program. And lastly, on the slide, yours truly, I'm involved in curating and delivering the finance module of the program. And lastly, I think that's the last slide before we can take questions.
Yeah, Shiva, go ahead. I was thinking whether we'll take questions now or right at the end, but I think we're nearing the slide deck, so might as well.
Sure. So as you can see, that's the certificate that you get upon successful completion of the program. The value of both the education brands there, INSEAD as well as Hero, is not something that I really need to ramble on too much about. I think we all understand. I think we all understand the value of the brands on that certificate. Any specific questions about the certificate? Happy to take it once we're done with this presentation. And yes, there are financing options as well. There are loan options. We have partner lending companies. That's basically that. And I think, Deep, if you have anything to add, please do. And after that,
Sure. I'll just add a couple of points. The certificate, of course, you saw. I think those are some really solid brands to have with you as you get into the leadership journey. In terms of financing, if that's if you want to know more, again, Shiva and I are definitely not the experts on the EMI plans, but I know that a lot of our learners across the board, not just for this program but other programs, do opt for financing, and there are multiple partners who do provide financing in fairly attractive, interest rates and so on. So we can, you can definitely get in touch with our learning counselors. I think at this point, the best thing to do would be to take your questions and answer those. I hope we have broadly explained, but the next 20 minutes or so, or however long it takes, we're going to just take these questions. All right, Shiva, I'll, we can both answer questions or anything that you want to take. Dhirendra, as you said, I wanted more detail. I hope we have provided some details, and I think course fee details. Okay, I'll come to that. Ankur asks, can you tell me more on why this course and not an MBA or an executive MBA? I have an answer to that, and after that, Shiva, if you want to add something to it, of course, please feel free to do it. I've taught at business schools, right? I used to teach at business school. I've taught at multiple business schools over the years. I still visit some of them and teach. The traditional MBA program, right? Whether it's an executive program or it's a full-time program or whatever have you, has two aspects, right? Which we believed are not as useful for the leader or the manager. One and the biggest one is that most MBA programs, including executive MBA programs, are run only by academics, right? And I have nothing against academics, but I spend a lot of time doing academic work myself. But I think that only those academics can teach in management programs who have actually gotten their hands dirty and consult with global organizations or different organizations like we have with the INSEAD faculty. This program is from the industry, by the industry, and for the industry, right? We like to say that, but we actually live up to that promise. If you look at the list of faculty members we have, and even for the current cohort that's running, the folks that we have gotten for our master classes, to teach sessions, to, if you think about it, nearly all of them are like Shiva or myself, who have been in the industry for donkey's years, learned on the job, and try to bring that flavor to the classroom, right? The second part, which kind of is related to this, right, is that in a traditional MBA program, there are a lot of things which we believed, and not just us, we with our partners INSEAD, we believe that for a working professional who is doing this while doing their jobs, right? And I'm sure all of you are busy, you're getting into that leadership role, right? There's in an MBA program, there's a lot of things which we believed would be extraneous. We do not go into the depths of different types of HR management. We don't go into the different depths of marketing theory. Finance, we teach it from a very strategic standpoint. Branding, we teach it from, again, a leadership standpoint, right? So we have taken one aspect of management, right, which is strategic management. We have taken one aspect, which is leadership, and we focus our program on that. Doing a two-year part-time program, and it can be 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, I don't care. It covers a lot of other things which we believe is not relevant for the new leader or an existing leader, right? So that's why it's concise and it's extremely focused on the task at hand, because I know that you don't have time to learn about a variety of things, right? Which yes, good to know, but doesn't really affect your leadership style. Yeah. So that's I think the big difference. Shiva, if you want to add anything, please go ahead.
I think Deep, that pretty much covers it. Only one point I would like to add here, and I think that it's an important point for a lot of the questions that it's an important point to bear in mind. the point I want to make is that the question of MBA versus our program, just moving slightly away from that. If you look at the value for money that this program provides versus an MBA, an INSEAD program and a program from INSEAD at this price point is also a factor to consider versus say an MBA that you get from, you know, at a similar price point. If you wanted an MBA, you probably have to go to a local university that offers that. So you'll have to ask yourself, do you want a management program that comes from INSEAD, or do you want an MBA program from a local university which sort of comes at the same price point? And I think that is important. That is an important point also to make to consider, because increasingly the view is that these are not small sums of money to spend, right? If you wanted to get an MBA from abroad, even a 1-year one is going to set you back by a lot of money, right? Probably 10 times more than what a program costs at the very least. So yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to add. Back to you.
Thanks, Shiva, for adding that, because I know that Ankur had, as a continuation to his question, and mentioned that, can you please compare it from your end as well, because he has 10 plus years of work experience and most of it international. And he's now seeking leadership roles and is confused between an executive MBA and this. So yeah, I think, if you're talking of international experience, I think Shiva definitely is the right person to talk about it. How long were you gone from the country, Shiva? 15 years or something?
15 odd years, yeah.
15 years. No, for me it was just 6, 7, many years back. So Shiva got back to India, and then we could grab him before the industry took him away from us. So very, very pleased with myself on that one. But yeah, Shiva, I mean, in that context, you want to add something, please go ahead. I think we've talked enough, but yeah, go ahead.
In terms of international, yeah, no, absolutely. As Deep said, the familiarization, the gaining familiarity with, say, an INSEAD classroom, being in an INSEAD classroom with an INSEAD faculty teaching you, that experience, that the familiarity with someone from a different culture, the way that person teaches, the way you learn from that person, it's impossible. I stick my neck out and say it's probably impossible to replicate that in any other way. You can go and do an online course, you can do a bunch of stuff, but just the familiarity that you get and the confidence that it gives you when you're dealing with, let's say, and someone that's looking to import, or some business partner who is from completely different geography, the familiarity that classroom experience gives you is invaluable. One cannot put a price on it. And it's not just the familiarity, it's also, and this is something we see across partner universities. We see that even with, say, an MIT or Columbia, with whom also we actually incidentally partner on other programs. The approach to learning something tends to be different across cultures. As Indians, we rely more on an intuitive sort of understanding, and this applies more for technical ideas. We rely on a combination of intuitive understanding and conceptual understanding, whereas the emphasis with partner universities tends to be more on conceptual understanding, and it's more there's more emphasis on quantitative accuracy and things like that, attention to detail. These are all great ideas. These are all great points to pick up. Attention to detail. I'll give you an example. Sorry, I don't mean to stay. I'll just take 1 minute. If you take MIT, for example.
Please go ahead, Shiva.
If you take MIT, for example, which we run with an association with our finance, for our finance program, the answer expected has to be accurate to the 4th decimal. Okay, so attention, it's just a small example of attention to detail. In India, there's nothing wrong with right or wrong about this. In India, maybe the emphasis might not be so much on, if the answer is 5.2635, if I wrote 5.27, the prof will probably say, go ahead and, will just give me my full marks anyway. But MIT wouldn't do that. They expect attention to detail. They expect right down to the fourth decimal. They expect you to read this exam instructions. So it's just the attention to detail. Is it a good thing to have? Absolutely. It makes you a better manager. It makes you a better professional. Number of stuff to just pick up from just having partner universities that are leaders in the world and come from different geographies in summary.
Thanks, Shiva, and absolutely, I think, uh, and that's why we partner with these guys, right? Whether it's an INSEAD or an MIT or a Columbia or a Georgia Tech or whoever, we want to bring these global best practices. We want to create folks who are ready for the global job market, right? Because it is getting globalized. Things are changing. Whether it's a very technical domain like data science or whether it's management, we know that the job market is just, and we are seeing more and more of it. And trust me, I work with clients across 4 different geographies right now. They work in 4 different geographies, and it's nothing. I mean, and even small organizations are doing that. Not global. All right. Let's take the next question. Uncle says thanks. All right, Uncle, you are very welcome. Let's see what else do I have. The cost of the immersion part, is it inclusive? It's not. It's optional. It's not included. It's separate. Course fee details. I do not know the course fee details. Shiva, do you have the course fee details? If not, if you want the course fee details, you can ask somebody to get in touch with you. Shiva, if you broadly,
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I can give. I mean, in the interest of helping put the number in context without clearly committing to the exact number. What
I don't know
you,
the exact number. I broadly know where it's at, but
it's broadly some number between 4 and 5 lakhs. 4 to 4.5 lakhs is the number.
Okay.
There's probably a GST that gets added on top of it and all that. So the context is about 4.5 lakhs.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Shiva. Because for some reason I never. I mean, of course I know what the fee is. I knew what the fee is because when it was being decided, I was part of that group. But as you know, I forget everything. So thanks for providing that context. I think just to have that context in mind, what the exact number is. You talk to any of our learning counselors, they will be able to tell you. The exact numbers plus GST, this, that, whatever, all the final details they would be able to tell you. The immersion program is definitely not a part of that, right? It's separate and it's optional. You don't have to do it for the program. If you want to do it, I think it's a great opportunity to go and spend those 5 days in Fontainebleau. But again, it does have a cost consideration, and of course the time commitment and so on, right? You have to go to France for 5 days. It's a 7-8 day affair at least. From what it seems like. All right. What's the criteria to enroll and what's the placement surety? And Ankur talks about, last question would be on the placement side of the program. Again, this is, so Shiva, I mean, you can add, but this is not a placement program per se, right? We are not, the focus here is not on saying that we add certain tangible skills to your resume and then go and try to see, look for placements and so on. That we do that for programs which are meant for more junior level folks. However, we have Ankur, not part of this call, but who heads placements, and the placements team do source a fair number of senior level placement opportunities where we do place students coming from across our programs, people who come in with a lot more experience. Sometimes we do source opportunities for them as well. But Shiva, if you wanted to add anything.
Do some of our conversations with learners help map out or chart the placement aspirations, career aspirations? Absolutely. A lot of, sometimes even before, I've had calls with candidates who even before they actually join the program want very specific questions answered. I've spent 15 years doing this. I would like to continue in my organization. What do you think I should do? Sort of question. So that kind of advice is something that we provide. And I can assure you that what I can assure you is that it's not, it's advice that comes backed with a lot of experience and a lot of it is valuable advice, if I may say so, because it comes from someone that has actually been in the industry, and we usually put you in touch with the most relevant person to give you that advice. So it's something that learners have found valuable. But as Deep said, we don't the placement bit is not, it's not an active component of, it's not a logical conclusion to the program for all cases. There might be certain cases where there might be a discussion, and on a case by case basis there might be certain discussions.
But again, it's not a placement type program. It's a leadership program. It's a strategic management program. And if the material that's covered, the things that we do here, the simulation, the activities, the new ways of thinking that we, the new ways of branding, right? Yourself and your organization. If they can be done right, I don't think placement should be a challenge for anybody moving up the ladder within their organization or moving ahead in their career. It will set you up for that success for sure. Yeah. All right, few more questions. Anupriya says, how will this program be beneficial for digital transformation role? Shiva, you know the curriculum better than I do, so I'll leave it to you. How will this be covering the aspects mentioned in digital transformation programs mentioned at the INSEAD website? So Shiva, over to you.
Okay. Well, Anupriya, I would say that let's be clear. This is not a program that focuses, the primary focus isn't digital or digitization.
Right.
There are many aspects of the program that talk about digitization in general, but all of it is from a strategy point of view. The question we ask is, what does the CEO need to know about digital transformation, for example, or what does the CXO need to know? Will we get into technical details? Don't expect too much of technical detail on digital transformations. Will it compare with an INSEAD program focused on digital transformations? It won't compare, to be honest with you, because there's not a lot of time that we won't be able to devote the kind of time that you might be looking for. Will it be sufficiently taught from a strategy point of view? Yes. Will you get your hands dirty with very technical stuff? No.
Absolutely. I think that's true for many things. Like, I mean, I've been asked questions about digital transformation, about data-driven transformation, and so on. These are all aspects that we will touch upon in detail. I mean, from a managerial standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. But that's not the focus of the program. This is not a data program. This is not a data-driven management program. This is not a digital transformation program. Having said that, we are definitely focusing on creating managers for the digital age. If you look at the curriculum or the faculty, a lot of what's taught in traditional management schools is becoming very fast irrelevant in the digital age. And this ensures, right, that it is not, that it is at that cutting edge of management where it's meant for a global digital workforce. Yeah, what we're dealing with now. But yeah, Shiva, I think thanks for that. One more question: weightage and value of this program in comparison to direct programs mentioned at the INSEAD website. I think the Hero Group adds to that weightage versus what there is on the website. So again, on the INSEAD website, there are multiple other programs. Two things to note. One is that there are some programs that INSEAD has, or most management schools have, which are not very instructor-led, right? Again, it can be valuable, but that's a question that you have to ask yourself: that how do you learn, or how do you want to learn, right? This program, as we know, that there will be INSEAD faculty, but wired faculty will be external faculty members from the industry. In terms of weightage or value of the certificate, I think it adds to the value of the certificate because INSEAD is already there, right? Whether it's a program that you get off the shelf from the INSEAD website versus this one, both of them have the INSEAD logo and it has the signature of the same people, right? I think Samir, is, who's the dean of the professional school. He's a professor at INSEAD and he's a part of Hero Wired's advisory council, by the way, Samir Hasija. So you have Samir's signature and the same INSEAD logo and so on. But along with that, right, what you get is Hero Wired, our context setting, and the Hero Group. Right? So in terms of a brand for that certification, I do think that the Hero Group does definitely add to it when compared to what's there on the INSEAD website. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, that's that. Ankur had a comment. Okay, done. Honestly, I think your question therefore has been answered. Any other questions? I know we are exactly at time. It's just past 1:30 here in IST. But if there are any other questions, Shiva and I'll have to answer. If not, we can go ahead and close the session. Any other questions or comments or anything that you want to bring up? No, we have no more questions. In that case, thank you so much for spending your time with us on a Saturday afternoon. I know that all of you have other things to do on a Saturday. But trust me, if you're doing this program, your weekends will get very, very busy. All right.
Absolutely. 6 months, just say bye-bye to your weekends.
Say bye-bye to weekends for 6 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not a very trivially simple program. Anupriya has a quick question. Any details about prerequisite session? Do we have any sort of prerequisites here?
Sorry, is the question on? No, there is in certain cases, depending on the profile, we do have an interview. We do have an assessment. It's so far we only felt the need for an in-person interview. Doesn't rule out the possibility of a written test in certain cases if required. It's just that we've so far not felt the need for it. It's profile based.
Profile based. It's an interview discussion. We will be having prerequisite sessions before the actual course. Okay, the sessions, the kind of the
bridge
sessions, like the bridge sessions. Yes.
Yeah. We have bridge sessions. The usual suspects that need to be covered in a bridge session are statistics. So we brush up on statistics. People tend to forget high school statistics. Excel, using how to use Excel is another skill that people forget. These are the couple of things that we generally tend to cover in addition to small bits and pieces.
Okay. All right, and the associated question is that what will be the duration for this bridge course and when does it start?
Yeah, it's usually part of the program itself. We cover it within a weekend. We don't find the need for more time.
Just a small bridge to ensure that some of the more technically things that you probably have forgotten did 20 years back. You just want to make sure folks are comfortable with that. No, Anupriya, all weekend. It won't be it's all weekend. Right? The entire program is a weekend program. Shiva, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct.
All right, great. That's that then. Thank you everyone for your time. We really appreciate that, and good. I'm glad we got some very interesting questions, and hope you could answer all of them. So that's us signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Want more information? Visit us at www.herowired.com. Get ready to get wired.